So one of my oldest online friends asked me to do some videos comparing and contrasting your beliefs and why they've changed. And basically I think what he's referring to is me going from low carb paleo to a really high carb, close to, well, we'll just call it plant-based. So, I've covered these in the podcast and stuff, and I've uploaded those podcasts. Not all of them are uploaded yet, but they will be pretty soon. I bought into the paleo belief system or plan or whatever you want to call it, and I guess the beliefs there were grains are bad, almost blanket carbohydrates are bad, fructose is bad, and along with the grains they talk about the anti-nutrients associated with those and things like that. And sure, almost all plants have anti-nutrients in them, but the way they work synergistically doesn't, there's a lot of canceling effect. Why I changed my mind about paleo, there's quite a few reasons. I'll try and cover them as quickly as I can. I really just started looking into stuff outside the paleo world, and once you look at stuff outside the paleo world starts not making sense anymore. And what I mean by that is, there's all these. I was trying to be active, and they feed you this fat adapted stuff. Well, that's okay if you're training in a fat burning zone, which is a really low aerobic rate. It's not really very good at when you start doing glycolytic exercise, higher intensity stuff. So I was actually interested in the carbs, but I was afraid of them. They basically made me scared of them because there's all this crap out there that says if you don't eat low carb, the carbs are gonna make you fat. And there's like the primal blueprint puts kind of a cap on it at like 150, and even that's sort of at the high end of the paleo world, with the there's some people that accept the carbs. I don't want to try and throw blankets like they do, but realistically, if you're honest with yourself and you look at the paleo community, it's low carb, and anybody that says it's not is fooling themselves, because all you have to do is just look at what's happening, and it's just, oh my god, I can't eat too many carbs. I can't eat too many carbs. They demonize the carbs, and once I put the carbs back into my diet, it was just boom, like that. My world changed, and I was deathly afraid of it. I was just reading some of my old blog posts that I never actually even published from my paleo days, and I just wrote a bunch of articles, but I never published them because I never really quite finished them. I'm a terrible writer when it comes to even like this video. It's awful because I don't do monologues very well. I do dialogues, and I do dialogue face to face even better than, say, if this was a Skype video. So I'm really, really quick in monologues, but I'm not at all with dialogue. Opposite. Sorry, I just got in. I had a really long day, and I just ran a 10K and stuff, so I just got back. But anyway, so I never published these, and I was going back reading through them, and just the crap that I was brainwashed with it just baffles me now that I would even buy into it. So carbohydrates are inflammatory and all this kind of stuff, and they push these science papers, and these science papers are so easy to poke holes in. It's ridiculous. It's like, yeah, we put some rats on diet, and it had carbohydrates in it. Well, you look at like the rat chow, and it's like high fructose corn syrup and soybean oil. It's like, I don't know. That's not a specific example. I'm just throwing that out there. It's almost that ridiculous sometimes. And so I when I I went from low carb paleo, and actually it was more moderate carb towards the end because the volume of food that I eat is really, really high. So even if I eat vegetables, I'm just counting the carbohydrates in my carrots, for crying out loud. This is absolutely retarded. Low carb diet's the only diet ever in history that's made the carrot a bad guy. So, but when I would end up, even adding my carrots and crap at the end of the day and broccoli carbs and all that stuff, it ended up being, if I ate as much as I want, 150, 200. I mean, this was years ago. I'm just throwing stuff out there, but I'd have to go back and look at my food logs. But it was generally 150 or more sometimes. And so I dropped the fat of the diet, and when I went to a high carb raw vegan, and my world just went upside down. I have arthritis issues. I haven't been diagnosed with a specific arthritic disease. I think mine was mostly food related, terrible food related, and then I have a lot of broken joints and stuff from my history. And so I was actually diagnosed with arthritis at 19. I had doctors wanting to fuse one of my arms. My ankle could have been fused. I had, and this is orthopedic surgeons telling me this, specialists. My knees were smoked. I mean, I had massive arthritis problems, and I had massive inflammatory problems. I used to have to go around with balloons in my sinus cavities, and so that because my sinuses were constantly bleeding because I have chronic sinusitis, allergies, all these things. Body's really, really inflamed. I mean, you could just move my joints and they just went. It's like there was no cartilage in them. So when I went to the paleo diet, I really dove headfirst into the paleo diet because once I started eating that way, these things started getting better. And it's funny in hindsight because I thought it was the paleo diet that was doing it, but it was really just I had cut the crap out of my diet and, packaged foods and stuff, and that's really what was doing it. After about 6 months, paleo really wasn't working for me anymore. I wasn't getting the joint relief, or at least it wasn't getting any better. I started dosing more fish oil because I thought I needed more anti-inflammatory omega-3s and all this crap. So I was basically drinking cod liver oil, 3 grams a day or whatever this crap that was back then. And it just never got better. And something that I've never actually revealed about paleo, or at least I don't think I have, is I actually was starting to lose my hair. And now, I mean, I have like the thickest hair in the world. This stuff's like steel wool. I have to buy new clippers when I shave it all the time because they get so dull so quickly that the blades just break off. I mean, this stuff is super thick. When I was paleo, I would sit at my computer and I was actually going like this, and it would just come out. And my desk used to have hair all over it. So, I mean, I don't know if any of you guys follow Danny Roddy and stuff, but he was, zero carb and all that stuff, and he ended up ditching all that and going to this Ray Peat style diet and stuff based on, hair health. And the other thing that was really, really happening to me in kind of the end of my paleo, I would say maybe like 9 months or so in, is my vision started getting really, really bad. I actually started to think I was going to go to the eye doctor, and I've always had like amazing vision. It was like 2015 or 2010 or whatever it is, where you can read the chart at like 3 times the distance. And I was getting to the point where it was always blurry, and it felt like I was cross-eyed all the time, and it was kind of, I don't know if it was just brain fog from no carbs or what, but it was a serious problem, and I was really getting worried that I was going to have to get glasses and stuff. When I ditched the low carb, that all came back. I have zero vision problems now, no blurriness, no nothing. I mean, I can see a flea on a dog's ass at 50 yards. So that was those problems went away My hair, like I said, is a non-issue now. Of course, my digestion got way better. My energy levels went way up. Um, so low carb may kind of work in some situations for some people, but I don't really feel like that it's a lifestyle. I really feel like it's a tool in a toolbox for short term, and I don't know. I could make this video really long, but my my beliefs changed because I tried different things, and and once you've seen the whole picture from all these different perspectives, and I approached this, especially the low-fat raw vegan thing. I was paranoid to try that. I thought I was gonna balloon up. I was gonna ache and have all these arthritic problems, and it never happened. All it did was slim me up. My energy levels went up. I mean, this is so like anecdotal that I don't want it to really sound like that, because I really analyze this stuff. If you knew me in real life, you'd know how analytical I am. It's ridiculous. I believe nothing until it shows results. There's the placebo effect doesn't work on me. I've tried a gazillion supplements, thrown them all out. I mean, I don't do any of them anymore because they just flat out don't work. And I don't know. I don't expect you to believe me. But anyway, my beliefs have changed because things changed for me. When you're on the high carb, your mental clarity is completely different. Like I literally keep carbs around me all the time now, because especially when I'm under a lot of stress. Carbs are amazing for stress. If you're under a lot of stress, you're working really hard. Your brain is just chewing through glucose. I mean, this is the biggest user of sugar in your head. So when you're working really hard and you're concentrating really hard, it's just burning through it. So in those cases, you know, I almost even will, not almost, I do. I go back to even processed sugars and junky sugars when I'm in those situations, because I just want the carbs in there because my body's asking for them and I'm craving them, and I eat them and it takes care of me just like that. I know that those aren't a big part of my caloric intake, so I go back to eating real food, which I highly advocate. I don't advocate eating junk food at all, unless the option is not eating. But I eat so much real food that I'm not worried about getting the nutrition that I need. I've said this in a podcast before, the junk food makes up such a small percentage of the calories that I eat that I'm not concerned with them at all. I guess, and for my vegan friends out there, that's where the animal products come in for me too. I don't really eat a lot of animal products. I don't worry about the ones that I do eat. I don't think that a lot of animal products is especially healthy, and so I don't eat a lot of them. I leave it open for the flexibility. So I can't say that I'm vegan, because I'm not. I don't have the ethical attachment to the animals like that. But I am plant-based. Like, the only animal products that I've really eaten this week are honey. I really like honey, but it's pure carbohydrate. And maple syrup and stuff here is ridiculously expensive, or I would do that. I mean, it's like $35 for a quart of it or something. So, I mean, the honey's there. It's, you know, a lot of the time it's local, raw and stuff. So I just get it and I like it. Matter of fact, I just had some I poured it all over a bunch of bananas. But anyway, I bought into the carbohydrates were inflammatory thing for a long time, and I found the exact opposite to be true. And the low-carb eating really wasn't for me. Sorry, my computer screen died there. The low-carb eating really wasn't for me. I've never naturally eaten like that ever in my life. I've always been a super high carb person. I was just eating the wrong source of carbohydrates. And I hate to say that a lot of the time I was even a high carb person, because I was actually a high fat person. I was eating, when I was younger, I ate a lot of really, really simple carbohydrates. I mean, literally sugar off the spoon type thing. And then as I got older, I got into more of the junky carbs, or the high fat foods they actually are, where I got into greasy Minute Mart food and things like that. And that's where I started to actually gain a little bit more weight and stuff. But I still even eating those foods, my metabolism was so cranked that I could regulate pretty well. I would regulate. I'm 6 feet tall, and I would regulate just below 100 pounds, and not 100 pounds, 200 pounds, and not really go above that so much. So they were actually doing a decent job on my metabolism. It was just I was eating so much crap, and God only knows, preservatives and really nasty polyunsaturates like soybean oil, all those junk foods contain, and then bleached white flour and just all that kind of stuff. So when I went to paleo and low carb, it really went against the way that I naturally eat. And I could tolerate it because I was driven to get results by it. I think that's the only reason I was able to stick to low carb, is because I was seeing some results, and that was motivating to me to continue it. But it's not because I felt really good. I felt better than I had, but if feeling good, it's relative. Compared to what I feel now, I did not feel good. I was very, very sluggish. I could fast for 3 days straight or whatever, and I was fat adapted or whatever, and basically my stomach was shrinking up. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I just welcome anybody to step out of that world, that's in that world, and try something like a low-fat, high-carb, real food-based diet. I know that for a long time, in the 80s and stuff especially, they pushed a low-fat diet. And, you can be on a vegan junk food diet and be in terrible health. I mean, when I was younger, it was basically, I don't want to say I was a vegan junk food eater because I had pork chops and stuff every once in a while, but I was on very much a plant-based diet, but it was plant-based junk. So, I mean, where it was like frozen foods and stuff like that. I don't eat like that anymore, and it's completely different. It's a completely different diet. So, I suppose you could stay paleo and throw more fruit and stuff in there, but I really don't get the point of avoiding grains. I really don't. Part of my belief system changed because if you look at societies of humans for the last, since we basically became humans, there have been many, 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 many societies that have been basically grain-based or carbohydrate-based that were extremely healthy. I mean, right now, only the Westerners are really, or West people that have been influenced by Western diets, are unhealthy. There's still billions of people on this planet that are eating diets high in grains and anti-nutrients, all this crap that these paleo people say is terrible for you. Yet these people are much healthier than the paleo people. And it goes a lot farther than diet for a lot of that. It's the lack of stress in just their society, period. But the fact remains is that they're eating, tons and tons of carbohydrates. The Thai, the Chinese, the Indians, dots not feathers, and It's just all those Asian cultures and stuff are very high grain. Into Africa, all this stuff, and these people are doing just fine. So I've been on heavy on starches a few times. When I dropped the raw vegan, I went into a very starch heavy diet. It was higher in fat. I did put on some weight. I still feel like I do much better on a fruit-based diet than a starch-based diet. And I've been on the starches because I've been working so much. I've been on the starches for the last 2 months, like big caloric shift to starches. And I'm trying to get back down to a race weight again. Not fat by any means, but like lean. And I'm not losing weight very quickly on the starches. Weight loss is not really a big deal to me. I don't try and base everything on weight loss. I'm much more interested in health. But when I want to perform at a high level, I don't like to carry around extra weight, and it doesn't do me any good. So the weight loss has been much lower on the starches. I felt like I've had a lot more acid reflux and things on the starches. My energy level's been pretty stable, but the last 2 days I came into a whole bunch of bananas, and I've been basically on bananas for the last 2 days, and I've had the energy of a crackhead. and I really mean that. I mean, my energy levels have rocketed the last 2 days eating only fruit, and I feel fantastic. So it's really, really motivated me to dial back on the starches and go back into fruit. I really love the heavy feeling in my stomach. So I really, really love the starches, because all my life I've overeaten, and I've eaten heavy foods and heavy amounts of foods, and really liked how much that bogged my system down, because it was probably a way for me, a defense mechanism for me to relieve stress. It just unwinds me to be really, really heavy and on the couch and just want to just lay there and drool on myself and watch TV. So I really like that about eating a tremendous amount of starches. But the fruit is great. I haven't had any like acidic issues at all. I've been wound up. I mean, like I've been jacked up on rock stars all day long or something without that crash. But anyway, so I guess that's part of the reason why I've changed my beliefs. And then after I started looking into the carbohydrates and the benefits of eating them, the stress reduction, and just the learning how the body really does run on sugar. It runs on glucose, and it's really important for the cell, oxidative metabolism. And I try not to think about it any more than that. It's just like, eat food. I know I feel best when I eat mostly carbohydrates, and I stay low on the fats. And I'm not anti-fat. Everybody thinks that, you're on a low-fat diet, you have to be anti-fat. And it's not that way for me. I choose not to eat the fats because I don't like the results from eating them. I think that eating some of the fats and stuff can be healthy. I mean, like avocados, I don't think they're an unhealthy food at all. I think they're a very good food. But there's so many calories in such a small amount of avocado that if I'm gonna sit there and eat, 3 bowls of rice or whatever, I don't need that little bit of avocado is basically like the same amount of calories as a whole entire bowl of rice. Well, I don't want that. I don't want those calories, because that's just a little itty bitty amount of food that isn't really going to give me any energy. I know that bowl of rice is going to give me a lot more energy, so I'd rather get my calories from there. And if you don't overeat on calories, you're not going to gain weight. So this is kind of turning into a rant, but anyway, this is some of the stuff why I've changed my beliefs on this. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, don't believe anything that the paleo people have to say anymore, other than the only message that they have that I agree with is eat real food. There's so many contradictions in that diet where they tell you not to eat grains, and then they promote nutty dishes, and they tell you that sugar's bad, and eat tons of cruciferous vegetables, like broccoli and green stuff that's has tons of oxalates and all these things in them that aren't necessarily beneficial either. It's like they tell you, don't eat this food because it has this and it's really bad, but eat this food. Except for if you look around in other diet worlds, they say, this food is really, really bad. Eat this food. And so it's like these two diets butt heads. Well, if you look at me right here in the middle, I say, it's all just food. Eat all of it. You know? And I don't want to say moderation, but it really is. It's like there's balance to everything. You don't have to just eat broccoli and Brussels sprouts and steaks, and you don't have to just eat oatmeal. You know, there's a whole world in there, and all I see. I used to actually tell people that, oh yeah, you do the paleo diet. I just don't necessarily agree with the carbohydrate part of it. I don't agree with the paleo diet at all because almost every single person that I meet now has an eating disorder from the paleo diet. They're so freaking brainwashed. They're like, I can't eat that because it has some maltodextrin in it, and that's a carb, and no, and it's just, and I just look at them and I'm like, seriously, really? You can't eat that banana because you're scared of it. I mean, it's just, God, I don't want to even try and bring up examples because I can't even give you any good examples. This stuff is so ridiculous, and so I know that not everybody on the paleo diet has an eating disorder, but more often than not, I really meet people that are disturbed and have a really unhealthy relationship with food. And they probably didn't before the paleo diet. I know before I got on the paleo diet, food was food. I knew what to eat. I ate clean foods. Right before I got on the paleo diet, I was eating oatmeal and big salads, with I was eating very, very well, and I should have just stayed that path because it's probably maybe even better than I'm eating now. And then I got into the paleo diet, and a lot of those foods became bad, and nightshades and all these things tomatoes became bad, and it was making my arthritis pound, and which it actually was on that freaking diet. I'd eat tomato sauce, and my wrists and stuff would throb. So I don't know. All I know is that when I went to eating mostly plants, I felt a lot better, and don't necessarily know why, but I know that eating carbohydrates probably really helps regulate my stress levels, and so that's. I don't try to think about it any more than that. When I'm hungry, and I just did a workout or something, I know I need carbohydrates. I just depleted them. I'm going to eat real foods. There's lots of vitamins and minerals in. I'm putting over here because my kitchen's that way. Lots of vitamins and minerals in the fruits and vegetables. I can pour those in. I get lots of amino acids from there. I don't worry about my protein intake. I read Brad Pilon's book a long time ago, whatever, his protein book, and he really helped me drop the fear of not getting enough protein. And I actually recommend reading that book. It's the only ebook I've actually ever bought. A lot of people have given me ebooks, but Brad's How Much Protein book is actually the only ebook I've ever bought. And so he really released me from that sort of I gotta have lots of protein myth. And then really I have to credit Durian Rider for getting me back on the carbs. I mean, he was really the force. There was nobody else involved. I mean, I had to trust him when I went into that low-carb raw vegan. And obviously I'm not a low-carb raw vegan anymore, but I eat very much like them still. And now he promotes this raw till 4 thing. I mean, I was already sort of eating that before they really started promoting that. And everybody calls me Durian Rider Light and things like that. And it's like, I was back to eating rice and cereal and stuff before he was. It's more like Durian Rider's becoming me, not me becoming Durian Rider. But he was definitely an influence in me going back to the carbs, the main influence. And I just said, okay, you know, this guy says this, I'm going to try it out, and it worked. And so the story's history. I've been eating very similarly to that ever since. So this movie's a half an hour. I've got to cut this off. But if you have any questions, just put them down below. I'll answer them. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'll make you guys videos, answer questions. I'm not gonna dive really deep into science stuff. I don't have time for it. This is already. I mean, I'm making this at 9 o'clock at night. I want to go to bed. I've been going and going and going and going for the last couple weeks, and I need to get to bed earlier. But put your stuff down there, and I'll answer it. I'll try and answer it in a video. So anyway, that's it for this one. I'm out of here. I'm going to bed. Peace.